Hello and welcome to today's video. Today I thought we could sit down and just put on some makeup. Recently I uploaded a fancy luxury curated kind of makeup collection, and I thought to myself, you know what, the natural next progression of this is that I sit down and do like a get ready with me where I use my most expensive products. So that's what we're doing here today. Not really much of a life update, like my life is very boring since the last get ready with me that I uploaded, but if we want to hang out and put on this makeup that you see here, then why don't we go ahead and get into it. Okay, as we get started, I am gonna do something with this hair. It is like day 3 hair, and it's a lot today. I'm just gonna let it do what it wants to do, but whew, that is scary. So I have a feeling that as I get going, I'm gonna forget to talk about what I'm using, and the kind of focus of this video, not really so much a life update. There's not really much that's happened between the last Get Ready With Me where I updated everyone about what's been going on with me. This is mostly just an excuse to play with makeup and not be alone today and just kind of like hang out with y'all. So I figured I would pull out my most expensive products that I have in my collection. So I have Bobbi Brown Tarte Shape Tape. I have this is not my most expensive foundation, but this is the only one that I have with me. I have like Laura Mercier at home in storage, but I figured I've never tried these together. In fact, I don't have a ton of memory of what this one's like to use. So I kind of want to just try this today. I do remember it being a little bit more drying, and so I'm curious to see if I mix it with this Bobbi Brown primer, will I like it more? I have a little also under eye corrector from Algenist. I have my Natasha Denona Lila palette. And then I'll show you some other face products once we get there. But for the most part, we're just hanging out today. As I get started, I think I'm gonna go ahead and put this primer on. It is very thick, very lotion-like. I love the smell of it. It's like a citrus kind of orangey lemon, mostly lemon I get from it, I think. But it's definitely thick. I know I've heard some people talk about using this primer as like a lotion every day. I don't think my skin, I think it would be a little too much to use as a daily moisturizer. However, I do like it for days when I feel like my skin's a little bit more dry and I want a little bit more hydration, and it definitely has silicones in it. So it's kind of nice for that. It provides a little bit of pore filling, not much, like not a crazy ton. I wouldn't classify this as a pore filling primer, but it's definitely hydrating. I also never remember to take these kind of primers out to like the edge of my face. I feel like I just focus them in the center of my face, and I don't know if that's like user error or what, but that's just the way I usually do it. All right, I've zoomed in a little bit. I wanted to point out that I put a little bit of Tarte Shape Tape on my eyelids, and I don't know about you, but like primers like Urban Decay, Primer Potion, things like that, I really like those kind of waxy primers, but at the same time, I feel like the inner corners of my eyes are so daggum dark that I can't just get away with using one of those eyeshadow primers. I typically need some sort of like color correction or something in the inner corner just because it's so dark there. So I'm curious if you're someone who's tried like the P. Louise Makeup Base or the Anastasia Beverly Hills, their eyeshadow primers. I feel like the reputation that they have, at least when I watch people use them, is that they're pretty, like, they are pretty pigmented primers. So if you think something like that would work for me instead of a concealer, I'm curious. I mean, concealers don't do bad for me, but I would kind of like to just get a dedicated eyeshadow primer that like covers and does everything I need it to do. So let me know in the comments if you know about that. All right, as I start my eyeshadow, I did set my like concealer with Tempera from Modern Renaissance, but there's no lid setting shade in this palette. I want to do a little, like I said, a little bit more warm tone red kind of look, so I think I'm going to start with this as a transition shade. I'll probably bring it all over my lid too, just kind of like a one shadow up into the crease, and then I'm going to top it off a little bit with this shade here, Dragon Bright, which is a duochrome in here. I love that shade so much. So as I get this eyeshadow started, I'm curious how everybody's doing. I know, like I said before, I think I did a Get Ready With Me not even 2 weeks ago, so literally not much has happened in my life. I am in the middle of doing like a conference online. It's like a 2-month-long counseling conference. And although my license is temporarily paused in the US, I am wanting to go ahead and do some continuing education, make sure that when I do go back to the US that I can easily kind of pick my career back up, hopefully be able to find a job. So I'm kind of working on that. I'm trying to do like a couple hours of continuing education credit a day, and we'll see how far I get, but it's fun so far. Some CEUs or some classes are better than others, that's for sure. But it's been nice to have something to kind of like dedicate my time to when I'm not like doing other things around the house or doing something for YouTube. Like it's kind of nice to be like, I don't know, it's kind of nice to be back in a school setting almost. Like I'm sitting there taking notes and like going through slides and stuff, and like that's kind of fun. Like I haven't been in school in so long, and I'm absolutely that nerd who went through college going, oh my gosh, how do I turn this into a career? Like I would love, I could be in school forever. Like I just really vibe with school setting. Part of it, and I think that's part of what carries me into be a project planner, is that I like feedback, and like grades are a feedback system of some way. So then in that heart, like planning is also like a very motivating feedback system where I get to like check things off of a list. Like I definitely am that kind of person. All right, and my favorite part, just a boring kind of eyeshadow look so far, right? But then you put this duochrome over the top, and I freaking love it so much. Let's see if it shows on camera just how pretty it is in person. And I bet that if I wet this, it would be even more intense, but I'm just hanging around the house today, so I'm not gonna do that. In fact, I think that Bo is gonna get off a little early today. He worked all weekend, so I think we're gonna make up for the fact that we didn't really have a weekend, and he's gonna get off early a little bit from work. So hopefully we'll be like hanging out watching a movie later. Just make sure that that's kind of like blended a little bit. But do you see it, just how pretty? I don't know if it'll show on camera just how pretty that like red green kind of duochrome is. I freaking love that shade. So this is all I'm really gonna do with this palette. It's literally probably one of the most boring looks, but in person, I'm telling you, it's one of my favorite things ever to wear, especially with one of the lipsticks that I'm gonna pair with it a little bit later. You'll see why. I feel like it just ties together so well. But anyways, let me move on. I'm gonna zoom you back out and we'll get to putting on base products. All right, I'm going ahead and putting this Algenist corrector on. I tell you what, and I'm having trouble not looking in the viewfinder because I'm vain like that. But also, I forget just how much when you get on camera, if you do YouTube as a hobby, you'll know what I'm talking about. But when I get on camera, sometimes I'm like, I was feeling good, like, oh yeah, I'm having a good skin day. And then you get on camera and you're like, woo wee, I'm seeing things on my skin that like, I didn't, like there was a red spot over here that I'm like, I didn't even know that was there until I sat down to film this, and then all of a sudden that's all I can freaking see. But I also realized that that is definitely like my perfectionism showing up, and I'm like, my skin has never looked perfect. Like I don't know why I'm all of a sudden expecting not to see those marks now, but that's just what my mind likes to do. Okay, I'm gonna start with this foundation. I honestly don't even remember the best way to use it, so I think I'm gonna try it with a brush. Although I might have picked the wrong brush to try to use with it. We'll see. It's just so daggum dry. I don't know. If you use the Amazonian, oh, I just took myself in the eye. If you are familiar with this like Amazonian clay kind of formula, this one here, let me know in the comments how you like to apply this one. I feel like brush is probably, even though it's dry, I feel like a sponge would just plaster it on a little bit too much, and I think the dryness, let me collect my thoughts a little bit better. I think it being such a more dry formula that if I tried to put it on with a sponge, that I would cake it on versus shear it out. I think the brush will help me put it on lighter, and therefore the dryness will bother me less. Does that make sense? Taking a little bit more off the back of my hand to do my forehead. Honestly, like as I get it blended out, and you can totally hear that ambulance going down the road, I like it better on my skin down here. I feel like it looks better than I anticipated that it would, but maybe I should have done more spot concealing also, because I still see like sunspots and stuff underneath it. Very, very interesting thing to work with. All right, I'm gonna go back over everything with just a wet sponge. I don't have any extra product on here other than like the concealer that I blended out earlier. Let me, as I'm doing this, let me go ahead and ask y'all, are any of you making plans for summer? I know we're still in the midst of this pandemic and everything, and it's not necessarily the safest thing to do, but I know that so many of us are also going, like there's definitely like pandemic fatigue where we're like so tired of being locked up and locked in, and there's probably a lot of us out there thinking, what would we like to do with our summer that's safe? I'm gonna add a little bit more concealer under my eyes, but please in the comments if you feel comfortable, let me know what you're considering doing this summer. Bo and I are actually just now starting to plan a trip home. I think we're kind of just to the point where we're very tired. We really want to go home and see family. We didn't go home for Christmas. The last time we were home was August of last year. And this year, you know, we know that we're not gonna be able to travel, but potentially we could go home. And also there could be like the double benefit of, it looks like Sweden's trying to roll out some vaccines to people, but it's only, they're still in the like, it's like 70 and up or 75 and up category right now. They're still rolling it out to like their elder like community. So we're not expecting to get our hands on the vaccine here until probably like end of summer, maybe fall. And that's probably like just first dose. I'm not quite sure if we'll be able to get 2 doses by that time. So Bo and I are kind of thinking to ourselves, our parents are already fully vaccinated. A lot of our family members are vaccinated, and we definitely want to go home. We're very homesick at this point. I'm gonna set my face with the Peach Perfect powder from Too Faced, but at this point, because we're so homesick, we're kind of thinking, why don't we go home? And then also, because we're US citizens, we could technically get vaccinated in the US. There's no reason that we have to wait for Sweden to kind of get the vaccines ready for us. We could just go ahead and get vaccinated at home. Granted, that means that it would be a long trip for ourselves because we need to make sure that we're home long enough to get both doses of the vaccine. But at the same time, it's like, that's not really a con. Like last time we went home for like a full month. So this time we would be doing about the same thing. But yeah, at this point, we're kind of leaning to kind of go home, which is kind of surprising. I know the last time that we went home, I was so anxious, and mostly because our parents had not been vaccinated, and I just could not like stomach the idea that if I was the reason that they got sick and then something happened, like I couldn't live with that. But this time around, it feels a little bit more safe. Not completely safe, but a little bit more safe. Also, I almost completely forgot to mention that I have a new puppy sister. My parents got a new puppy, and I am in love with her, and I definitely want to meet her. Next, I'm gonna go in with my Marc Jacobs bronzer in Tantric. And anyways, what was I saying about my puppy sister? Yes, I can't believe I almost forgot to mention her. If I can find a photo of her, I'll put her in here because she's absolutely adorable. She is a miniature schnauzer, and I think she's just the most adorable thing ever. My parents have needed a dog for a while. I can't honestly remember. We always kind of had dogs as long as I can remember, but their last dog, which they were very attached to and loved dearly, I think she died probably about 2 years ago, and my parents have just kind of been, it was such a heartbreak when they lost that dog, that they needed some time to recover. And now that they have this puppy, they have their hands so full. It's like watching them try to handle a newborn. It's very, very funny. She has so much energy, but again, she's kind of bossy and stubborn already. Like, she already has those personality traits showing. And for whatever reason, my parents kind of really find those qualities endearing in dogs. Our last dog was like that, and so it's so funny to see this dog be so similar in some ways, personality-wise, to our past dog. Okay, crap. I just remembered that I was actually gonna do this before I did my base makeup at all. So this might just absolutely ruin what I've already done, but we're gonna try this. I know I've been seeing people, and I've tried it once or twice myself, use the Ready Set Brow from Benefit. It's the like clear brow gel, and they use it to like comb through their brows and then kind of like stick them up like a bushy brow kind of look, like a soap brow, laminated brow kind of thing. And then I figured maybe I would comb through it with the actual Gimme Brow tinted brow gel and then fill in what I need to. I'm gonna try it today. I should have probably done it before I did my base foundation, but let's just go for it. I also realized last night that I was gonna use these products. So last night I was so tired. Stayed up late trying to like stay up with Bo as he was like working on his presentation that he gave today. And I was in the middle of like brushing my teeth last night, and I realized, oh no, I need to like trim my brows. So I grabbed my little like brow like trimmer, like the little face shaver kind of things. That's what I usually use to kind of trim my brows. And I ended up like rubbing them through rubbing through the ends of my tails down here. And I feel like not only did I like not do them evenly, but this tail over here, like I shaved so much of it off. Hopefully you won't be able to tell too much on camera, but last night Bo was laughing at me like, yeah, maybe you went a little hard on that brow tail over there. Okay, I've combed them through my brows, and then I always see people take it and like push it up and like use the paddle and like push it down. But I'm telling you, it's especially this brow, maybe my like forehead curves back too much, but I feel like it never stands up. Like this brow does okay. I don't understand how people do this. It's so weird to me. I feel like I have to go in and like use something like this to like what is going on? How do you do this? This is so hard. I look ridiculous. Is this not ridiculous right now? That was a little bit too ridiculous. Let me see if I brush some of that out and then try to go in a little bit lighter and just stick it up. Does that look any better? I think that just looks like my normal brow hair. Oh my lord. This is stuck to my forehead. Are you seeing what I'm seeing? Okay, I think that's as good as I'm gonna get it with the clear brow gel. I think I'm gonna go in now in the tails with the like Gimme Brow, the tinted one. And this brow always ends up looking pretty decent. Like there's not much I can do well besides like do that over there and smear the tail of it horribly. It's this side that like it doesn't match. My face just in general on this side is not symmetrical at all. And I can never get this brow to match the other brow. Actually, that doesn't look half bad. Kind of, right? No? Maybe? I feel like it's also the front here that never looks even either. Because my hairs, these hairs grow in an opposite direction. Oh my goodness. In the comments, if you have any tips for my brows, please do not hesitate to leave them, because I feel like I'm hopeless when it comes to brows. Like, I don't know what I'm doing. In fact, when I look back at like my wedding photos, that I realize like that's the biggest thing that I look at. I'm like, I didn't even touch my brows that day. I don't think I did a thing to them, and you can barely see them in photos. Okay, brows I think are done, although you can definitely see that I kind of messed with the foundation a little bit, but I'm not gonna mess with it too much. We're just gonna, like I said, we're gonna embrace imperfection today. I almost want to add a little bit more bronzer, just a little bit, because I'm gonna take a very bronzy blush up onto my cheeks. So let's just add a little bit more. Okay, for highlight, let's pull from this big Mama Jamma here. This is the Natasha Denona blush or diamond blush palette, and super beautiful, but also super expensive. I'm so glad that I think I got this on sale for like 30, high 30s, under 40, right at maybe like $38 last year. And I really think it's nice, but I will say that if I were someone who paid probably the, what is it, like $89, $90 for the full retail price of this, I don't think I would have been $90 impressed with it. I think the blush in here is fantastic, and the duochrome highlight I love. I really like it. It's more like a blush topper in my opinion, at least for my skin tone, but the highlights in that palette are very, like, I would just say they don't wow me, if that makes sense. They're not bad by any means. They're just not like as impressive as I want them to be. Now I'm gonna go in with Becca Wild Honey, another very expensive blush that I was very lucky to get on sale here in Sweden for like $12. I think this retails for like $30, this little blush. Full price retailed $30. Although now not even gonna be available as we move forward in the future. I'm not quite sure if they've sold out of those blushes or whatnot yet, but I do like them. They are super pigmented. I'm glad I only have that shade though. Like I feel like I'm someone who doesn't like a super pigmented formula. So for me, the fact that this is so daggum pigmented, I like to use it because it is a bronzy blush. I can go a little heavier with it and not mess anything up. But if it were like a bright pink blush, I would have easily messed up like a million makeup looks at this point. So I like to kind of try to wear this towards the back of my cheeks, maybe a little up on my temples, just a little bit. And then I'm gonna go back into the Natasha palette and put that little corally pink blush just right on my apples, just a tad, just a little. Dipping back into here, I really do, like I said, I would totally actually pick up more of the Natasha Denona blush formula because I think it's really nice. I really like blushes that have like a little bit of like a sheen to them, definitely no sparkle in it at all, but they just have a little bit of like glow, enough to make the cheeks look healthy, especially on like my more mature, less than firm skin. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and set my face with Ofra Makeup Fixer, and then I will put on mascara and lipstick. And I always like to kind of go over my setting spray with a little blender. I usually don't use, I'm not someone who uses setting spray every day, but with that foundation being as kind of dry as it is, I definitely think that I have to make sure that if I use that foundation, I don't go too heavy. Like if I caked it on, it would definitely look way too dry. But right now it looks great. In fact, that peach powder looks so good over the top of it. I really like that peach powder. Okay, my most expensive mascara that I have open at the moment is my Milk mascara. I don't hate this. I really thought it's not as wet of a formula as I typically like. I'm someone who tends to kind of like formulas that are more wet. I definitely wouldn't call it a dry formula, but it's somewhere in between. The Urban Decay Perversion mascara is one that comes to mind as a very wet formula, and I actually kind of like that. Now it is, you do have to be a little bit more careful, and if you're someone who you tend to have mascara transfer on you, you definitely wouldn't like that mascara. But I don't typically, as long as I'm not like being careless, I don't typically have a lot of issue with that, although I literally have a mark down here. Gonna have to get that off. Well, I kind of got it off a little bit, but this is my second coat for this mascara. It can get a little bit clumpy if I'm not careful on second coat, but all in all, very, very pretty mascara, and I am quite impressed with it. Definitely would pick this up if I saw it like Point Perk or on sale at Sephora. I don't know if it's worth the full, I think it retails for about $26, somewhere in there. I'm not someone who typically likes to pay full price for mascara, period, but it's not bad. It's up there with one of the better ones that I've tried, although Benefit Roller Lash is my absolute favorite. And last up, my favorite combo to do with this eyeshadow look is to use Buxom Dolly Danger with Patina from Stila. Really, really like this combo. And since I can't really talk through it, I'll just cut and show you at the end. All right, I'm back. I went ahead and brushed through this crazy day 3 hair. Lip combo is on. It's a little bit much, like I don't typically wear a darker lip without putting on like falsies or something like, and especially with some lashes, it's stunning. Now this foundation's a little bit much. Maybe I need to keep playing with the best way to apply it. So if you have tips, leave them in the comment section. And I hope that this wasn't too boring of a get ready with me. I realize that right now life is not too eventful, so it was mostly just an excuse not to be alone right now and just hang out with y'all. So please feel free to comment down below. I just want to hang out with y'all always on this channel. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one.